Can ethical models help when personal values conflict at work? Imagine you're a healthcare worker facing a tough choice. Your personal beliefs might clash with what your job requires. How do you decide what's right? That's where ethical models come into play. They are like maps that guide us through complex moral situations, especially when personal values bump against professional duties. These models turn vague ideas about right and wrong into clear steps for decision-making. In healthcare, moral dilemmas happen often. For example, a nurse might believe in prolonging life at all costs, but a patient has an advanced directive refusing treatment. Or a doctor might want to save money but faces pressure to give expensive treatments to uninsured patients. These conflicts can cause stress and uncertainty. Without a clear plan, healthcare workers might act on emotion or personal bias, which isn't ideal. Ethical models help by focusing on core principles that everyone agrees on. The four main principles in modern healthcare ethics are autonomy, nonmaleficence, beneficence, and justice. Autonomy means respecting a patient's right to make their own choices. Nonmaleficence is about avoiding harm. Beneficence involves acting in the patient's best interest. Justice is about fairness and equal treatment for all. When personal values clash with these principles, the model guides professionals to think carefully about the situation. The process usually starts with understanding the facts. Then, the healthcare worker considers which ethical principles are relevant. It's important to look at everyone's perspective, including the patient, family, and team members. Next, they weigh the possible outcomes of different actions. The goal is to choose the option that best aligns with ethical standards, not just personal feelings. This systematic approach helps avoid impulsive decisions based on bias or emotion. One big benefit is accountability. When decisions follow an ethical framework, healthcare workers can explain why they chose a certain path. It also reduces bias because it requires considering multiple principles and viewpoints. Plus, it offers psychological safety. When facing moral distress, workers can point to the ethical process as their reason, rather than feeling overwhelmed or guilty. Hospitals and clinics often have ethics committees made up of diverse members like doctors, nurses, social workers, and even community representatives. These groups use ethical models to handle difficult cases and policy issues. This shared approach makes sure decisions are fair and consistent. When conflicts between personal values and organizational demands happen, these models help find balanced solutions. Sometimes, principles conflict directly. For example, a patient might refuse treatment that could save their life, which respects their autonomy but conflicts with beneficence. Or limited resources might mean choosing who gets a treatment, which raises questions of justice. Ethical models help professionals think through these tough choices instead of defaulting to personal opinions or organizational pressure. They acknowledge that personal values matter but should be integrated into a broader ethical framework. These models also recognize that many conflicts stem from larger systemic issues. Lack of resources, social inequalities, or policies that disadvantage certain groups can cause moral dilemmas. Ethical decision-making encourages healthcare workers to see these issues as part of a bigger picture, not just individual moral failings. This understanding can lead to organizational changes that better serve everyone. Using ethical models regularly helps teams develop a common language and understanding. It builds trust and makes handling future conflicts easier. When a healthcare worker faces a value clash, they can refer to the ethical framework instead of feeling alone or conflicted. Sometimes, these models even point to the need for policy change if organizational practices are unfair or unethical. In the end, ethical models serve as a practical tool for navigating personal and professional conflicts. They provide structure, fairness, and clarity. They help healthcare workers make decisions that are justifiable and respectful of everyone involved. By following these models, moral dilemmas become manageable challenges rather than impossible choices. They turn difficult situations into opportunities for thoughtful, principled action grounded in shared ethical standards.